Hello friends, I am Welshie and welcome to Theory Pop. Season 2 of The Dragon Prince has been out for a little over a week now and I loved every second of it. So of course I have some theories to share about the show. Be warned, there are some spoilers ahead. In today's theory, I'm going to talk about Catullus' young king, Ezran, and a particular ability that he has exhibited several times, the ability to speak with animals. This is an unusual skill, one that we haven't seen any other characters really use. Sure, Lugane has a connection with her phoenix, Fifi, but the Moon Mage doesn't appear to converse with her animal companion. Ezran, however, is capable of full conversations with multiple creatures, including his cheery companion Bait and the recently hatched Dragon Prince, Ozymandias. This ability has come in handy several times over the course of the series. In Season 1, Ezran was the first to realise that the giant spiders guarding the cursed caldera were fake, as they weren't actually speaking. In Season 2 we see the young prince, recently informed of the passing of his father, King Harrow, hitch a ride on a bantha, a creature with a fearsome reputation. But where does Ezran get this ability to communicate with creatures? Is it magic? Well, I don't believe it's a spell or magical ability as such, but I do think it is connected to one of the 6 primal sources. Earth. First, let's establish what we know about Earth as a primal source. This is actually a bit trickier to define than some of the other sources. So far, we have examples of some of the powers and abilities associated with 3 of the primal sources: Moon, Sky, and Sun. Lugane draws upon the power of the moon to create illusions that fool not only a person's sight, but the very sensation of touch. Callum learns to understand the Sky Arcanum, able to create powerful gusts of wind, and Janai, a Sunfire elf, is able to channel her connection to the Sun Arcanum to enhance her strength and speed in a type of berserker mode when battling General Amaya. We have yet to see anyone with a strong connection to the Earth primal source, so we don't have anything from within the show to go off. We do, however, have some hints from the Dragon Prince website. On the page describing the world of the show, there are descriptions for each of the primal sources, along with the characteristics typically associated with creatures that have a connection to that particular arcanum. The description for Earth reads: Earth magic draws on the power and energy within the land itself. Earth magic comes from 2 major domains: the stone, minerals, crystals, and gems of the land, and the flora and fauna of the living world. Creatures connected to the Earth are patient, sometimes stubborn, and care deeply about the history and balance of the natural world. Earth magic can be linked to the land and its components, such as crystal and stone, but can also be tied to the creatures that live within the world. We know that Ezran has a strong connection to 2 creatures in particular, in both Bait and Ozymandias, but we have also seen the young king communicate with other creatures. We also know that Ezran is an empathic young man who cares deeply about all the creatures of nature, even a potentially terrifying and dangerous red dragon. He can be stubborn too, refusing to let either Corvus or Rayla accompany him when he needs to be by himself after learning of Harrow's death. Ezran's ability to speak with animals certainly sounds like it could be linked to the Earth Arcanum, but how much can we rely on the website's descriptions of the primal sources and those creatures that share a connection to them? Looking at the description for the source of Sky, we see that creatures tied to this primal source are typically quick and clever and prize the freedom to make their own choices in life. That description certainly fits Callum well. He's come up with plans that have helped the team get out of tough situations, and he rejects his dark magic counterpart's insistence that his destiny has already been decided. The outline for moon-connected creatures is similarly accurate. Those with a connection to the Lunar Arcanum can be private and secretive and are keenly aware of the power of appearances. Rayla has certainly kept her fair share of secrets, and Lugane's explanation of her Arcanum makes clear her understanding of the power of appearances. So I think we can say that the description of the Earth primal source and the characteristics we see reflected in Ezran fits pretty well. If the ability to understand and communicate with animals is linked to the primal source of Earth, does that make Ezran's talent a magical one? This is a tough one to pin down, and the answer is sort of. In September of 2018, the creators of The Dragon Prince, Justin Richmond, Aaron Ehas, and Giancarlo Volpe hosted an AMA over on Reddit, inviting fans to ask them questions about the show. A couple of people asked them about Ezran's ability to talk to animals, and whether or not it was magical. Aaron Ehas had this response: I always thought of it as being deeply empathic, not magical, but it might as well be magical. The showrunners see it as something other than magic, an ability rooted in empathy, rather than being a spell effect, but the end result is similar to magic. So if the creators don't view it as magic in the traditional sense, then how can Ezran be connected to the Earth Arcanum? Well, the interesting thing about the Primal Sources is that they aren't utilised by just mages. We've seen how the Sunfire Knight Janai entered a kind of enraged berserker mode, channeling her connection to her own Primal Source to boost her speed and power. And let's not forget our very own Moonshadow assassin Rayla, who turns almost invisible during the full moon. These abilities appear to be ones inherent to the users, dependent on their Primal Source, but they aren't spells. They are magical effects, but they don't require any sigils or arcane chants, instead relying on the individual's inherent understanding and connection to a Primal Source. Rayla can't even put into words how her Arcanum feels, describing it with sounds and motion, which is very different from the way Lujane articulates her own connection more eloquently. Ezran's ability to speak with animals could be something similar. He has an understanding of animals and their relationship within nature, how they are balanced, which in turn has given Ezran an understanding of the Earth Arcanum. But Ezran doesn't even realise he's connecting with a Primal Source. He's not actively trying to channel power for a spell, but is instead relying on his empathic connection with creatures to understand and communicate with them. But just how did Ezran learn this ability? Even if his skill of speaking with animals has nothing to do with the Earth Arcanum, there must be a reason the young king has this connection with the creatures of the world he lives in. Ezran's skill being rooted in deep empathy may be a trait he inherited from his mother, Queen Sarai. In the flashbacks we see of Sarai, we see that she is not only a fierce warrior, but an empathic person. When King Harrow approaches her with Viren's plan to stave off a famine, but claiming the heart of a titan, the Queen's immediate thoughts are about the Xadian creature's well-being.
Does it think? Does it feel? Does it have a family?
I sincerely doubt it has a family.
Then is it the last of its kind?
The Queen understands the gravity of the situation facing the people of Katolis, but she questions the act of killing an innocent creature. This part of her personality, her empathy, may have passed down to her son, granting him the ability to connect with animals through this empathic understanding. And let's not forget Ezran's father, Harrow, appears to have a strong relationship with his falcon, Pip. We also see that Ezran had bait from a very young age, so it's possible growing up with the Glowtoad, along with the traits of his parents, helped the prince further develop this deeper empathy that allows him to communicate with animals. Ezran may well have a connection to, or an understanding of, the Earth Arcanum, and not even realise it. We have yet to meet anyone that could explain what the connection would feel like, or what it would mean, and without that context, the king wouldn't know his ability has a connection to a Primal Source. But we know that Ezran can communicate with animals, and shares several traits with creatures that are connected with the Earth Primal Source. And I mean, come on, he telepathically communicates with a baby dragon from a great distance. That's pretty magical. Well, that's about it from me on this theory, but what do you think? Could Ezran have a connection to the Earth Arcanum, or is he psychic? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section. If you'd like to see more theories on the Dragon Prince, check out this playlist on the left. Click my face to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.